I refused to give my son the $100,000 he was asking for, and 2 days later, the truth came out in the most unexpected way. It was a quiet Sunday morning when my son Ethan called and asked to come over with his wife, Mallory. He said they had something important to discuss. I had a hunch it would be about money. Over the past few months, Ethan had been acting distant, almost as if he only called when he needed something, but I still loved him. He was my only child. They arrived just before noon. Mallory was dressed impeccably, as always, designer bag, heels, and a scent that cost more than my monthly groceries. Ethan looked uncomfortable, shifting in his seat as they sat across from me in the living room. "Dad," Ethan began, "I've been thinking a lot about this business idea I have. It's a sure thing. We just need some capital, $100,000. It'll change our lives." He went on for 15 minutes, explaining how they wanted to open a luxury spa in the city. Mallory chimed in occasionally, reinforcing how she had already designed the logo and how she could attract influencers. When he finished, I sat quietly, letting the silence weigh on them. Then I said calmly, "No." Ethan's face turned pale. "What? Why not? You have the money." "Yes, I do," I replied, "but that doesn't mean I'm obligated to fund every dream you have, especially when I don't see a plan, just a pitch." Mallory scoffed. "So you'd rather it sit in the bank than help your own son?" "It's not just sitting," I said. "It's my retirement, and more importantly, it's hard-earned. I won't throw it into a fantasy." Ethan didn't say another word. He stood up, stiffly, and without even saying goodbye, walked out. Mallory followed, throwing a disgusted glance over her shoulder. I didn't hear from either of them the next day, but the following morning something odd happened. I have a small cafe I visit every morning. I've been going there for years, and the barista, Jenna, knows me well. But that Tuesday, when I walked in, she was unusually quiet. When I asked for my usual, she hesitated. "Actually, Mr. Collins," she said, "I think I need to tell you something." I raised my eyebrows. She looked nervous. "You know your son's wife, Mallory?" she asked. "She comes in here almost every day, but yesterday she was here with someone else. I shouldn't say anything, but, well, I overheard her talking about you and the money." I was surprised, but I nodded. "Go on," she was laughing, telling the guy he looked like more than just a friend. "If you know what I mean, that you were so stubborn and old-fashioned. She said you'd never give Ethan the money unless they manipulated you emotionally. She even said she'd made you a special coffee before, something to help you relax." I didn't understand what she meant, but the guy asked if she was drugging you, and she laughed. She didn't deny it. I felt like the floor had shifted beneath me. "Thank you for telling me," I said, barely able to keep my voice steady. I left the cafe in a haze, questions swirling in my mind. What did she mean by special coffee? Was she really drugging me? To make me more agreeable? More forgetful? I replayed past visits. They had brought me coffee a few times when they visited. One time, I remember feeling dizzy afterward. I thought it was just my age. But now, doubts took root. I decided to call my lawyer. Within a day, I had a surveillance expert install cameras around my home. I also visited my doctor and explained everything. He ran some tests and confirmed something horrifying. There were traces of a sedative in my system that shouldn't have been there. Something mild but enough to dull my senses. I was stunned, angry, heartbroken. The next day, Ethan and Mallory returned, all smiles, as if nothing had happened. She handed me a fresh cup of coffee, her eyes gleaming with charm. But this time, I didn't drink it. Instead, I excused myself, saying I'd be right back. I took the coffee into the kitchen and carefully poured it into a sterile container I'd gotten from my doctor. Then I returned, placing the empty cup down. Ethan looked confused. "Didn't like it. Didn't need it," I said, smiling. Then I turned to Mallory. "You know, Jenna told me something interesting." Her smile faltered. She said, "You've been coming to the cafe with someone else? That you've been mocking me behind my back? And that you've been putting things in my coffee?" Mallory's face turned white. Ethan looked at her, stunned. "I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered. "Save it," I said. "There's a camera in the hallway. It caught you mixing something into the cup." Ethan turned red. "What the hell, Mallory?" She shot him a glare. "Oh, don't act like you didn't know. This was your idea." They started yelling at each other right there in my living room. I sat back watching the whole thing unravel. When it was over, I calmly said, "You two need to leave, and don't come back until you've sorted yourselves out. I'll be contacting the police. By the way, drugging someone is a crime." Ethan looked horrified. "Dad, please don't do this. You did this," I replied. "You betrayed my trust. You chose manipulation over honesty." Mallory stormed out, slamming the door. Ethan hesitated but followed her after a moment. I felt an ache in my chest, not because I was alone, but because I realized how far gone my son had become. I thought I had raised him better, but money, greed, and bad influences had changed him. 2 days after I refused him the money, the truth came out in a cup of coffee. Not just about what was in the cup, but what kind of people they truly were. I didn't press charges, but I made it clear I would never trust them again. I rewrote my will. I donated a large portion of my savings to a foundation that helps victims of elder abuse and financial exploitation. Ethan tried to apologize months later. Said Mallory had left him, that he was ashamed, and that he wanted to rebuild. I told him I hoped he would, but I wasn't going to help this time. Some lessons can only be learned the hard way, and I'm keeping my coffee to myself now.